Hello everyone. Thank you for visiting our channel. Have you ever experienced such like stories? Now let's get started. Daniel and Victoria made the decision to relocate to a new place a year ago. The reason for their move was Daniel's job promotion, which was already a good enough incentive to pack up and leave. Moreover, the new location was situated farther south, which meant that the weather was much more agreeable. Moving to a new environment also meant that they had to find new friends. Their old companions remained miles away, so they had to adjust to their new social circle. Victoria had to search for a new job, but she was fortunate to have found an excellent one right in the city center. Her work was in a clean office, which suited her well, and she also gained new friends there. One of them was Amelia, a co-worker who had been with the company since its inception. Initially, Victoria had a hard time asking for help, but after they began conversing outside of work hours, she discovered that Amelia was a fascinating conversationalist. It's often said that it's difficult to make new friends in adulthood, but Amelia and Victoria were able to forge a friendship. Amelia was quite reserved and shy for someone her age, and she was still single at 34. She found it challenging to meet new people and would sometimes say something silly out of nervousness, which made it difficult for her to build lasting relationships. During one dinner, Victoria informed her husband that Amelia had recently been dumped by her latest boyfriend and had asked her to go to a cafe with her. "I know that place," her husband groaned. "She asked you to go to a bar, right?" he continued. "Well, I haven't been there before, so I don't know," Victoria responded softly. "Can we just go without drinking, please? I remember the last time she came over to our place with wine after her breakup, and she couldn't stop crying," he said. Victoria reassured her husband that everything would be all right and proceeded to meet with Amelia the following day. As it turned out, Amelia had not been entirely truthful with her friend about the reason for their meeting. Instead of going to a cafe, she had convinced Victoria to attend a speed dating event. Inside the room, tables were arranged in a circle with each woman or girl seated, and men rotating around the circle, spending 1 minute with each participant to get to know them. After everyone had met, the participants could decide with whom they wanted to continue communicating. Age was not a factor as long as everyone was over 18. Upon seeing the setup, Victoria was taken aback and asked indignantly, "Where have you brought me, Amelia? Is this speed dating or something?" Her friend replied, "Victoria, don't be angry with me. I really wanted to try it, but I was too scared to come alone." Victoria protested, "You know I'm married." But Amelia assured her, "You don't have to participate, just sit and watch." However, when one participant did not show up, Victoria was placed at one of the tables. Not wanting to create a scene, and with everyone seeming to be in good spirits, she decided to sit and watch. The hosts explained the rules once more, turned on the music, and gave the command to start. The first few men who sat down with Victoria became discouraged upon seeing her wedding ring. The next several thought it was intriguing, but they were all 20-year-old students, and she felt like her time was being wasted. She glanced over at Amelia, who was busy deflecting one man after another. It was the turn of the last couple, and this time, a tall man in his 40s with a dazzling smile sat down beside Victoria. His piercing gaze broke her spirit, and she did not immediately show him her marital status. "I noticed you as soon as you walked into the hall," the man began in a languid voice. "I saw your ring. Don't worry," he continued, making Victoria blush. "Let's just chat and get to know each other a little. It's not a crime," he laughed. Eric was the name of the man who sat opposite Victoria. It turned out that he was married too, but he assured her that his wife was fully aware of his attendance at such events for business networking. Eric claimed that many busy women, like himself, faced personal issues, and these short dates allowed them to save a lot of time while simultaneously searching for potential business partners. Victoria found herself feeling embarrassed by her reaction to Eric. He was intelligent, charming, and incredibly attractive. During their first meeting, they engaged in pleasant conversation, and as the date came to a close, Eric suggested, "Let's have coffee together tomorrow. I want to hear what you have to say about a restaurant," leaving his business card on the table as he said goodbye. When Victoria returned home, her husband, Daniel, asked her how the meeting went. She replied that everything went well and decided not to tell him about the day's events to avoid causing him any unnecessary anxiety. For the rest of the evening, her spouse remained silent and thoughtful while the business card remained in her trouser pocket. Over the next week, Victoria became increasingly distant and contemplative. She started meeting with Amelia more frequently, and Daniel was surprised by their growing friendship. They spent time together several times a week, going for walks or visiting cafes. Daniel was typically not a suspicious person, but one day he saw Amelia walking happily in the park, holding hands with a man. Finally, she'll stop bothering Victoria with her suffering, he thought. When his wife arrived home in the evening, Daniel started talking to her. "How is Amelia doing?" "She cried to me again, and we sat with her for several hours," she replied as she turned on the light. Daniel was surprised because he had seen with his own eyes that everything was fine with his colleague, and she was clearly spending the evening not with a friend. Sensing that something was wrong, he decided to follow his wife to her next friend's meeting a few days later. Daniel finished work early to see where his wife would go after work. To his surprise, as soon as she left the building, she headed towards a dark car parked in the lot. The man behind the wheel kissed her and handed her a bouquet of roses. At that moment, her husband could barely contain himself. The car drove off, and Daniel followed them. After circling the city for a while, they headed towards a hotel. When it became clear where it was all headed, Daniel got out of his car and ran up to the couple. Giving Victoria a firm slap and pushing her lover aside with one blow, the man caught his breath. "What a piece of trash!" he shouted at his wife. "Quickly give me the keys so I don't have to see you again at home." Victoria fumbled in her purse and handed her shaking hands over to her husband. She wanted to say something, but the irritated man interrupted her with a silent gesture. Giving them a last look, noticing that the lover also had a wedding ring, Daniel went to his car. Upon arriving home, Daniel immediately proceeded to pack his wife's belongings. While retrieving her clothes from the closet, he noticed a business card that had slipped out of her clothing. Curious, he examined the card, only to recognize the individual pictured as his wife's lover. Using his wits, Daniel confronted Eric's wife and informed her of her husband's infidelity. As it turned out, Eric's wife was displeased by her husband's behavior. The aftermath of their confrontation remains unknown, but what followed was intriguing. It was revealed that Eric's wife was a close friend of Victoria's boss, a fact that would complicate matters in their small town. Victoria suffered consequences, losing her employment and part of her salary since she worked unofficially. This left her without a place to live and the means to support herself. Even Amelia, her friend, could not offer her accommodation. Amelia eventually moved in with a new boyfriend and became too occupied to provide any assistance to Victoria. This story is based on a true incident. What are your thoughts on the situation? How would you react if you were in Daniel's situation? Share your opinions in the comments. Thank you for hearing the story till the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the Stories For You channel and show your appreciation by liking the video. This will help reach more people with the channel's content. Best wishes.